our psychology still want to suppress our indigenous culture and its values. They allowed the Japanese to exercise their Shinto religion. They
Yes.
allowed the Indian to exercise their Hindu religion.
Yeah.
They allow, but when it comes to us, we under full frontal attack. And the reason you cannot control the mind of a man if his ancestors have control. You see?
What did you say? Please say it again.
You cannot control the mind of a man if his ancestors have that control. So you must destroy his link to his ancestors.
So that you can have his mind.
That's right. Stephen Biko, our beautiful young brother from South Africa who they murdered,
yeah,
Stephen said it better. Stephen says the most powerful weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. The most powerful weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed.
So this battle is been battle of the mind, of our mind.
Or the battle of our mind. And the only way they can defeat us if they cut us off from our indigenous philosophy, our indigenous worldview, our indigenous sacred science, our indigenous medical understanding, our indigenous technical approach to reality.
But if you go through school in Africa, we are cut off from all these.
Yes, and that is the reason. They're coming to steal your wealth. They can't have you conscious. They got to put you to sleep. They've got to make you unconscious. In order for me to steal from you in broad daylight, I've got to blind your eyes. You know.
I noticed something. It's very easy for two Africans to converse, to have a conversation, when they have deep sense of history of Africa. I think that is the common denominator.
Yes.
You connect with any Black person, any African, anywhere, when the depth of their knowledge on themselves is what should I put it? If it's quality, we connect easily. If you see an African who is trying to help another African, it's because they are conscious.
Yes.
If you see an African who is proud of the prospects, of the prosperity, and who is so hopeful of Africa, the power, the wealth, is because of the depth of their history.
Yes.
It means the mind is not gone.
No. And all we have to do, because our institution is not gone, they're in every village in Ghana.
Yes.
They just have us looking away from it, only turning to it in the darkness. Oh, I went to hospital. They can do nothing for me. So I got to go to the village. Come on. All right. So and we know we still believe in it, but we're afraid to show the world that
it's true. It's true. The COVID, almost everybody, you see them take the neem tree. They will boil it. They will drink some. You see a lot of people making their own medicine. And even the doctors will tell you the same thing.
Listen,
everywhere.
Listen, I'm right here with you. I'm right here. Okay? So here I go. Yeah.
Which one is that?
Well, I'm not gonna tell you what my medicine is now, but can you see it? You see how bright it is? Yeah. You see?
Wow.
You see, because we got to keep ourselves together when you go up against an enemy. You got to have your medicine.
It's true. You know? I have some few questions. I have some questions that I would want your answers. Yeah. So somebody would say, so how come? I know you have explained, but I will still want to go through the questions with the depth of the answers that you give us. How come Africa was Europeans were able to conquer Africa if Africans were that great? This is something that I usually hear from those of us who have been through this Western kind of education.
That's the first thing they ask. And I always say, We weren't that great. We're still greater than that. Have we seek vengeance on the European? Have we murdered him at large for the dirt he did? No, because we are a higher being. We are a higher being. We could slaughter him any day we want. 80 million of us live in America. And if you watch TV, anytime we want to close this thing down, don't we close it down? Don't we shake his whole country up? You know, all we got to do is go in the street, and only a few thousand of us go in the streets. Every election, they want to know, what is the black vote? What is the black vote? What is the black vote? Let me tell you something. The only reason they defeated us, there was two reasons. They had the gun technology, something we did not have, and they had no respect for human life.
They had the gun and they had no respect for human lives.
That's right. Let me tell you a story, the story of the Zulu nation. After the Berlin Conference, when all of Europe in 1883 get together, by 1885, they've come up with a filthy, dirty scheme on how to invade and rob Africa. Every European army, backed by American money, invades us from the north, from the east, the south, and the west, and it killed millions of our people, and they don't even call it a war. They don't even call it a war. You know, but if we knew history, we would be proud. Yes, we lost the battle in the end in many ways, but we would be proud. When they came to Ethiopia, Menelik crushed the Italians. Learn the story of Menelik crushing the Italians. When they came to the Sudan, the Turks, the Brits, and the Arabs, 30,000 strong, in 1836, Muhammad Ahmed sent them back with only 3,000 living soldiers. The Battle of Khartoum. When they went to South Africa, the Battle of Islamabad, the King Secheweya crushed the Brits, killed 2,000 in one day with just spears against their guns and their recalling rifle. And that battle at Islamabad brought down the Robespierre government in England. They'll tell you Robespierre government fell, but they won't tell you it fell because of the defeat of the British troops in South Africa by the Zulu nation led by Secheweya. So
led by who?
His name was Secheweya. He was king of the Zulu. There was even a greater battle before that one, Bambata, who broke the back of their army. Great Bambata, you know. But Secheweya's battle was so significant because it brought the whole government in London to the ground. And they had to resign. Because the Brits looked up and said, how you let them black folks destroy our best army? And it was a feud. Two of the wives of a minor king had a difficulty with their husband, the king. So they ran away to the white man's military camp. So the king says, I want my wives. Of course, the soldiers in the camp said no. So they wiped him out, took his wife. That's what a man should do. Then the British sent in the 2 brigades and go to the main king, Secheweya, and said, turn that king over to us to be punished. He says, you don't have no authority to punish my subjects. So the British said, if you don't turn him over, we will attack. And Secheweya said, bring it on. And he slaughters them. But they don't tell us that history.
No, that one, no. Unless you search, you won't find it.
No. But there's a good book. It's a book by, and I always like to drop books. It's by Robin Walker. Robin Walker. He's in the UK. And it's called When We Ruled.
When We Ruled.
When We Ruled. It's a history of Africa that's extraordinary. Get that book. But also the United Nations, the UNESCO History of Africa. It's 8 volumes. Oh my God, there's so much facts there because so many African scholars wrote there. Theophila Benga from Congo Brazzaville, Cheikh Anta Diop from Senegal. Cheikh Anta Diop's book, Cultural Unity of Black Africa, should be a must-read by everyone. Kwame Nkrumah's Neo-Colonialism should be a must-read. I see you smiling all the time. You must be an NPP man. But Hey,
no comment. No comment.
Okay. Well, my daughter's in Parliament, and she's NPP because her mom is NDC.
Yeah.
So the family get along very happy,
Wow.
both sides. But the point is, history. If our young people began to learn the history, they didn't just defeat us. We put up a resistance against superior gun technology.
Professor, so how do we now? You ordinarily, if you leave it with just the government, maybe they will just touch one or two of these. But the depth of it that can withstand.
The government can't do it. It must be a movement from among the people to insist that the history from the perspective of the African must be taught in the schools.
Yes.
Okay. It must be taught. How are you going to tell me when I think of what's his name from down in he was Fanti, not Agre, but even the Agre, the story of the Agre family coming out of what's the Fort William area down there. Just how that family started out during the enslavement period, where one of the daughter married the enslaver from London, but they turned it around a few generations later and became the leading resistance against colonialism and slavery in the Fanti area.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember the other brother who was one of the first lawyers, Ghanaian lawyers, to be trained.
Is it Saba?
Mensah Saba.
Yeah.
The story of Mensah Saba. Don't blame him because he leaned towards Christianity. Learn how he used that to bring education to his people, to raise them up so that we could compete against the tyranny. So understand Mensah Saba. Study Mensah Saba, but study him from the African point of view. Study him from the mind of the African aspirations. Tell the Mensah Saba story from Mensah Saba's soul, not from the British soul. And you'll see another Mensah Saba. So
my next question. Sometimes you go to some of our villages in Africa, Ghana, included. You see a chief who is well dressed and who is looking for help from this young European man. The chief, for me, seems like he understands the culture and the tradition. So how come he's waiting for help? What is he missing? What's in deficit? What is he missing?
Well, we have to look at all of the contradictions, economic, political, and cultural.
Okay.
The chief's job is to bring prosperity to that village.
Okay.
The government is already structured on a European colonial premises. Matter of fact, the very reason we have borders in Africa, that is a colonial construction. These so-called nation state are colonial constructions. There are some chiefs, like any institutions, you will have people who may be corrupt to some degree or another, but it may not be corruption at all. The whole nation is dealing with Europe and with Asia. So why not the chief? The thing is, what is going to be the cultural imperative that determine boundaries? You see, what culture is determining the boundaries and how we deal with these other people? Maya Gogoheni don't play that game. That's why I love to stop them.
All right.
Nana is like, I don't play that game. He's a traditionalist, 100%. And he leans heavy on those of us who are his Akosahenis around the world, especially here in America, to help. So like his 45th anniversary is coming up, I'm going to go all out to make sure the resources necessary reach Agogo. So that can be a glorious 45th. They have the eye hospital there, which was brought by some white Europeans a long time ago, because they came to that village and they were helped and their lives were saved. So they donated and began that eye hospital, which is one of the best in the countries.
Okay.
And so bringing medical supplies and assistance to help that hospital, bringing finances and resources to help that hospital should
is that the Stanford Hospital?
Huh?
Is that the Stanford Hospital? Something they call Stanford Hospital?
I forgot the name, and it could be.
Right.
But it's one of the best eye hospital in the Ashanti region.
Okay.
But it's up in Agogo.
Okay.
But that's just a little thing. Every village need functional clinics. Cuba has the best model. You don't need big hospitals. You need small clinics because most people don't need to be hospitalized. That's a waste of money. In the capital where you have multiple people, yes, hospitals make more sense. In the village, a small clinic with maybe one operating room, and certain amount of beds. But the issue should be about staying healthy, not keeping people sick to make money. You see, that's the Western concept. I'll keep you sick and sell you pills. The African concept, I will make you healthy with your herbs and your diet.
Okay. Now, if you go to northern part of Ghana, northern part of Nigeria, you see Africans who have totally lost everything. The names are gone. They are Arabic names. The dressing is Arabic. To what extent do you think Islam has destroyed Africa?
Okay, first, I spent a lot of time in the north, in Tamale, Salaga, Paga, and those places, and I don't think they're totally lost. Okay. I can speak in that language. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Rahmanir Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim, Ihdina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. I can do all their prayers. I can speak some of their language. I've been to Mecca twice. It didn't disturb me. The disturbance it did was to show me how un-African the system was. And when I studied the system, Islam comes right out of Africa.
Okay.
It's an African system that got Arabized, like Christianity. Christianity is born in Africa, but it gets Europeanized. The Hebrew Jewish tradition is born in Africa, but it gets Europeanized because they didn't get the whole package. They only got a piece of it.
So what you're saying is the original seed is African, but then it got processed.
Yeah.
And it got adulterated.
And it came back in somebody else's cultural costume.
Okay.
So when we see the brothers and sisters in the North, yes, they practice Islam because that was imposed on them centuries ago. But they do the same thing you do, the Christian and
the South.
Ashanti in Kumasi. He's a Christian, but he still keeps the ancestral shrine. He still observe a Kosi die. Right? Okay. They do the same thing in the North. They say they do the Islam, but they don't give up the indigenous piece. And you will find that throughout when you go in the North. At first, it's deceptive. The dress will fool you.
Okay.
But then when you're among the people for a while, yes, they practice many of the tradition we're calling Islamic, by the way, is not Islamic at all. These are African traditions that Islamic people do. So we have to, that's why studying history and culture will let you see that people have deceived us. Even if, one of the biggest things the Arabs say, if you call the Prophet Muhammad black, it could cost you your life. Well, I read the Quran. His grandma's name is Qadir. So that says she was black. So what's her grandson going to be? So we need to study history. History will erase the mystery.
Wow, history will erase the mystery. So what are some of the, I also hear this a lot. The sodas, Africa sodas, especially those in the diaspora. Africa sodas. Africa hates us. They love us. When we come to Africa, would they welcome us? How do you answer these things?
I heard some of that. But let me step back just to the Muslim thing in the beginning. Yes, Islam have been an enemy to Africa in the hands of non-Africans.
Okay.
That's why it's important to study that history.
Okay.
You will find through much of the history of the Western Sudan, which Ghana is a part of what is called the Western Sudan, and Nigeria Borneo, you will find that African Muslims had to fight their biggest war against Arab and Turkish Muslims to defend the integrity of Africa. So, and when we look at the system as it manifests in Senegal, certainly you cannot call that an Arab system. So that's why we need to study history so that we can delineate between what is appropriate and what is inappropriate behavior, and what is African culture and what is foreign imposition on African culture by these other religious system that was not born in Africa, but came in Africa as the enemy, but was consumed and adopted by us and used to help liberate ourselves from those same enemies. So when you look at Queen Amanatu in the great Borneo kingdom, you know, she took on for 34 years the Turkish Ottoman Empire, you know. And you find the same thing in the Mali kingdom and the Songhai kingdom. They were fighting against the